So now we're going into second Cypher phase. So second Cypher, what do we have that we can use? Well, we can choose to remove a solo token. So we could remove a token from this guy. But honestly, in the first turn, you don't want to do that if you've only got these two out, because if you only have 2 units out, or whatever number of units you have, if they all have activation tokens on them at the end of your turn, when your next turn starts, these all go away and you can activate all your models again. So if I were to use that card, pull this activation token off, I couldn't use this Sentinel on my next turn because his token wouldn't go away unless I drew a card that allowed me to remove that token. But then that's a card that I have to play to get an activation token off that I possibly could have played something else with. So I would highly recommend your first turn getting out a solo and one other unit. That's it. A squad, another solo, a warjack, or a vehicle, or a hero unit, I guess. But I probably wouldn't recommend putting out a hero unit in the first turn. In all honesty, you kind of don't want to have to. You want to put out stuff that you're going to be able to actually do something with to give yourself a better position to set up for your second turn in the first turn. Let me just put it that way. So we've done the first Cypher, we've done the activation phase. Second Cypher, we're going to choose not to do a second Cypher. We don't have anything that we can play Fury on, we don't have any squads out, and we don't want to get rid of this activation token because we want our activation tokens to reset at the beginning of our next turn. So, deployment phase, what's that mean? Well, normally, not at the beginning of the first turn, but after your first turn and throughout the whole rest of the game, you'll have these are called void gates. This is the main ability in this game to be able to spawn new units in. So during the deployment phase, normally you would be able to have one of these void gates out. The void gates come off of here. They go within 5 inches of a unit. Typically, you don't do that in the first round. So normally you'd be able to spawn anything out within this little 2-inch circle around the unit from the middle. Oh, why is it doing that? It's supposed to be 2 inches. Maybe it's 1 inch. It's 1 inch. So within 1 inch of this void gate. We'll go over that more in depth in just a second. But normally that's what you would do in the deployment phase. In the first turn, you don't have the ability to do that because the void gate deployment turn order phase, the void gate turn phase, is after the deployment phase. Now that's on purpose. They don't want you to be able to spawn stuff in the first turn unless you have a special ability. Now, the ISA, they have a unit that they can actually take something called a gate crasher on, and they can actually deploy a void gate during that unit's turn outside of the void gate deployment phase. So if you look here, the Morningstar shoulder weapon, it costs 3 points. It's called Gate Launcher. They have to have an arc on it. If you have an opponent that has a Morningstar and they have a Gate Crasher as a weapon on that unit, you can be pretty sure that in either skirmish or full battle force, that is the first thing that's coming out. That way they can put 2 void gates out in a single turn at the beginning of the game. It used to be you could put up to 5 arc on it. It's now been restricted to 3 arc, thank God, because it was very powerful. Now, do we want to do this though? Because now, here's the thing. If I had some, so the Empyreans, I should mention this. The Empyreans also have, we also have something that kind of does that. but it's Executor Nix, who is our hero vehicle. He has a what is it called? He has a gate launcher as well. So he can spike to throw a gate out within 5 inches of his location as well. Now, the thing that this messes up is if I wanted to get rid of these activation tokens and I threw out a gate launcher on one of my turns and deployed it, you know, I'm not going to be able to clear these tokens. Now, with what I have here, this is optimal for what I've got here. If I had the Executor Nix out, I wouldn't have done this play. I would have, you know, placed him over here probably, and then I would have flown my butt, you know, what's his speed? 8. So I would have flown him his 8 over to like here, and then I would have not, or well, no, I wouldn't have charged him. So I would have charged the vehicle. I would have flown him over his 8 as far as I could get him. I would have done a gate crasher. I would have shot a gate out. I would have moved this guy to this far edge here, and I would have put a gate out right behind this. Or if I could have gotten it, yeah, over to here, I would have just put it kind of pretty much out of line of sight to there. But we didn't do that. So we'll go with what we have. That's kind of a advanced thing, and we'll go over that in some of the tactics when we do faction breakdowns. So with what we have now, we don't have a deployment phase, so we move to the Void Gate deployment. So you've got options. Well, no, you really don't in this case. I lied. So Void Gates can only be placed off of what are called warrior models. Basically, it is any model that is not a warjack or a vehicle. So it has to be a squad, a solo, or a hero that isn't a vehicle like Executor Nix is, or Fiddler and Co., anything like that. Basically, just no warjacks and no vehicles. Just remember that. Void Gates, no warjacks, no vehicles. They can be placed 5 inches off of them. So in this situation, all I have is the Fulcrum. That's the only person that I can deploy off of. Where do I want to go? Well, I probably want to try to push to this point, since I've removed, you know, his warjack and one of his rangers. He's not going to have much to do here. He's going to be able to move these guys and you know, maybe spawn a gate over here or over here. I'm going to be able to get one out over here. So at the end of the day, it's kind of a stalemate as far as getting to this until I see what he brings out of that Void Gate. So we're going to say, okay, well, I really want to push this point. There's some rough terrain here. I don't want to have to go through that. So what's my best option as far as placement? Well, neither of these guys is probably going to shoot this gate. So I kind of want to get this thing out here kind of as far as I can get it. So let's say right there. I'm going to set this baby down right on that edge, and then we're going to remeasure to make sure it's within 5. Cool. So that's there. Now, when you put a Void Gate down, you have to allocate arc on it, at least one, no matter what. But remember, each of these units have a deployment cost. And whatever amount of arc you charge or apply to this Void Gate, that's what you can bring through it. So if you want to bring, you know, a Daemon, you need 3. You know, one of these guys is 3 points. Or no, they're 2. I lied. They're 2. Are they 2? Maybe I'm lying. Maybe they are 3. No, they're 2. So you could bring 2 of these guys out with 4. But that's probably not the smartest idea, because what you'll then have is you're going to have this warjack that can activate, or this warjack that you bring out, or this warjack that you bring out. One of those 3 is going to be able to activate, because your next turn, this is going to be your only solo. So what you really want to do is figure out, okay, what solo do I need to bring out that's going to help me the most, and then what other unit might I be able to use in that turn or the next turn that's going to help me the most. So we know that we're going to want to activate this guy next turn, period, because we want to get him out here and as close to sitting on top of this point as we can and clearing any models off of it, as well as possibly clearing any of the Void Gate models that are about to come out of this next round. So we know we can move to 6, so we can get we can check. So 6, yeah, our shadow is going to be over that, so we know we can get within range. So that's fine. That's good for us. We know we can get there. So we know we want to activate him. So let's look at what we have available. We've got a Factotum, we've got an Oculus, we got a Fulcrum, we've got a squad of Guardians, 2 Daemons, and Astrius, our hero. So what makes the most sense here? Well, you've got 2 Furies in your hand. So you're not going to be able to get these guys out this next round with an Oculus to be able to use it. So I would probably say no one next turn is throwing any Furies out. So you're not worried about keeping a bunch of Arc on hand. So I would put out all 5. And with that plan, I would say you want to bring out one of these 2 Guardians, this Oculus, and then this Fulcrum. Now, why is that? Because when you spawn out of this gate next turn during your deployment phase, you're going to get all that arc back. Now, that's going to be important for going into turn 3, which is the end of the pulse round in a skirmish battle. So what do I mean by turn 3, and that's the end of a pulse round? Well, we didn't really go over this yet, but now is as good a time as any. And this is your round tracker here. So you've got 5 rounds total that you can have. Well, in skirmish, a pulse round consists of each person getting a turn in round 1. So a turn for each person is 1 round. Round 2, another turn for each person. Round 3, another turn for each person. If we go look at this scenario, you can see scoring down there. It says each player can only score a strategic location objective once per pulse round, and objectives are scored when a unit ends its activation while securing the objective. So you can only score these during a pulse round once. Now, this specific map or scenario lets you score if you end your activation on them. So at the end of my turn, I'm going to get 1 point for this. At the end of their turn, because I couldn't take all of them out, he's going to get 1 point for this. So at the end of this turn, within the first pulse round, we will both be tied. So if I put these here, we're going to say that everything ends, blah, blah, blah. These guys, you know, he moved out here and shot. He didn't do any damage. He's going to move within 2 of this guy. He wants to get as close to that void gate as he can, so he's going to pop a void gate out over here. 5 inches, so he's going to come there. He's also going to put 5. Well, I don't know why that happened. He's also going to put 5 on his. We're just going to say. So he's activated his 1 that he can activate. Blah, they get their activation token. Okay, cool. So he gets his point, I get my point. Neither of us deployed anything. The Cypher phases are over. I guess I screwed up. So after the Void Gate deployment for your side, the discard phase is next. So what of these do I really not need? Well, I don't plan on bringing any squads out, and I don't have any squads out. So I'm going to discard that. Now, this allows me to draw 2 more cards. I would have liked to have been able to use both Cyphers during the Cypher phases, but ultimately it just didn't make sense to do that. So I only get to draw 2 cards. You hover over it, you hit 2. There you go. You get to see what you have for next round. So Arcane Synthesis. This is very, very good for us in the next round. And because this point can only be scored once per pulse round, this guy back here doesn't have to sit on this anymore. He can now move into the battle. Now, that's the good thing about this. What do we want to do with this stuff? Well, now this stuff is going to want to move over, you know, and try to take out these Ranger Fire teams and clear as much arc off of this as we possibly can to prevent him from spawning in anything to get over here. So now we've moved to round 2. I've discarded, I've drawn. So now we go back to the ready phase. So we're both going to clear all of our activation tokens. The tune-up stays until the end of the pulse round, and then you roll, I believe, a action die. I will double check. Let's see what it says. Tune-up. Continuous effects resolve to the end of the pulse round. To resolve, roll 1 action die. If it's blank, it expires. If it is a strike or super strike, it remains and you apply the corresponding effect. So yeah, so if it was the end of the pulse round, I'd roll 1. I didn't even roll. What is this thing doing? So it would be, if it was a blank, I would then remove the tune-up, but we're not there yet. So we're going to start round 2. I would go, let's say I fire it, let's see, they're all in range of the stuff I'd want to do. So let's say I fire, you know, my first phase projectile here, or wait, let's do this correctly. So I'm going to do the charge phase, right? Well, I've got 2 arc left. I don't really need to put anything on this guy, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to charge this avatar. So he's got an extra ability to try to get a hit because he's now charged. First Cypher. I don't really have anything else that I can play because I can't play any of these. Can't play this. So in order to get this out of my hand, it's just going to get me 1 more. But that's fine. I can use that 1 more, right? So I'll put the 2 there. So that lets me, you can normally charge it up to its full amount, which would be 3. I don't have 3 left because I put 5 over here. If I was thinking ahead, I probably only would have done 4, and that way I had 3 left to possibly put on this guy, but I wasn't sure if that card was going to come out. So it's no big deal. He doesn't have a bunch of stuff out on the board. It really doesn't matter. So now we go into the activation phase. We're in round 2. Let's say we shoot the first phase projectile at this guy, it kills him. Shoot the second one at this guy, it kills him. And then we're gonna, you know, we're gonna shoot the chronomorphic accelerator into the void gate. Well, how do you hit a void gate? You know, like what does it have? Okay, so if you're gonna attack a void gate, like we're planning on doing here, we've got the correct range for the what I want to use here. So I want to use the Cyclotronic Razor and the Nova Cannon on this Void Gate because they've got the highest damage ability. Now, why do we want to do that? Because we want to try to clear as much arc off of this gate as we can so that he can't spawn stuff through it. So we're going to say we killed, you know, this whole rest of this unit. They're gone. So he's already scored this. You know, we've removed those 2 units that scored it. Now we're trying to clear stuff off of this. Well, how do you attack a void gate? I mean, it's not like, not a model. You don't have a stat card for it, right? Well, void gates have defense 3, armor 5, period. Any amount of damage that you do over 5 removes this arc. So you would roll just like a normal roll against any other unit, like these squad members or the Tusk Wolf. He's going to roll 3 action dice. I have 2 arc on me now, and I'm tuned up, so I'm going to roll 5 white dice, plus now my 2 red dice for the 2 arc I have on me. So there's his 3, there's my 5, and my 2. I didn't roll great. He got a 2, so it gets rid of this 2. I've got 2, 3, 4 up on him. So if I'm attacking with the chronomorphic accelerator, I'm going to get 4 white dice, and I beat him by 4, so I get 4 red dice, 4 white dice, Anything above 5 takes an arc away. So I get 2, 3, 4, 5. So I hit. So that's 1. So it's only going to take 1 arc away. Boop, there it is. So that's what it looks like when you clear an arc. Well, I guess it works. I shouldn't say it's anything above. 5 is a hit, obviously, on its armor. It's now got corrosion on it, though, from the chronomorphic accelerator. And then you're going to put this on it because it's still in effect. It still gets it. You don't have to put lockdown on it, and the gate doesn't move. It just lowers its armor value, so it makes it easier to hit for your next attack. Fire doesn't matter. It doesn't have a mat or a rat on it. It's going to be gone by the end of the pulse round anyway, so you're not even going to bother with the fire when I shoot that at it. This is important though, this corrosion, because it does lower its armor value. So now it's an armor 4. So now if we get a 4 or higher, it's going to pull another arc off. If we get an 8 instead of a 10, it pulls 2 off. So again, you're gonna roll for the next one because I've got one more weapon left. So I'm gonna roll for the Nova Cannon. So it's a 5 rat. So I'm gonna get my 5 and my 2, just like before. He's gonna get his 3. I rolled really bad. He only got a 1. I got 2, 3, 4. So I only beat him by 3. And the Nova Cannon is a POW 5. So I get 3 red and 5 white. So we're looking for 4 above here. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're gonna do 2 damage this time, which pulls 2 more arc off. It just leaves him with 2 because of this corrosion. Had we not gotten the corrosion on, 9 would have only taken 1 off, which would have left him with 3. So corrosion is very important sometimes. You've seen it multiple times now. So after that, he would have been done. That's all of it. Well, no, he's not done. That's all of his abilities. So what do we want to do? I probably want to move him close enough that after the pulse round resets, he can move over here on the first turn and collect this, and then we'll have someone back here to also collect that. So we want to move him to within, range to be able to shoot and do damage for next round, but also keep him within range of this. So we know we can move, out to here. We can almost get to this gate. So we can see what the 6 looks like here. So if we go right there, should be plenty because we can get within 6 the next turn. So we're good. So that goes there. This goes here. Now I've got 2 arc on him. So now our special avatar cortex comes into effect. I can spike to clear an arc, and I will, because it makes sense to do. I don't need 2 on him now. I just don't. I don't need him there. It doesn't benefit me to have extra arc on him outside of the 1 for now. I don't get any defensive abilities. Again, if you do not need the arc on a unit, a squad, the hero, the warjack, the vehicle, don't have it on there if there's no defensive ability. If at all possible, get rid of it, get it back in your pool. You want to constantly be thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead. What can I use that arc for? What is it best suited for? I know that I don't have to take an activation token on him now. That's more beneficial to me than having that second red die. Because next turn, I get to apply an arc anyway. If I really need it, I can put it on him. If I don't, it's not a big deal. So now he's technically activated, so we know that. The Fulcrum, what can he do that's going to be useful? Can he get into range to possibly do an attack? He's got a range 12 on his cannon. We'll be able to see this thing from around this corner, it looks like. So if we can get to, anywhere within this kind of range here, we can use this little tank trap as a cover piece. He won't get cover because void gates don't get cover. So if we know we can move there, we can come over to here. get out here as close as we can, because I'm not super concerned with putting another void gate off of, over to this side. Because I've already scored this. I've already got stuff here that's going over there. I want to try to get some more arc off of this. I want to try to leave him with just one since we've got a corrosion on him. So I'm going to move him over to here. He's got a 6 on his range. I want to put him like right. See, this is why these pucks are annoying. I'll put him right there. So he's within 1 of this. So if he gets shot at from anything that comes out of this gate, they're going to have to draw a line through part of this cover. So he'll get cover if he's going to take an attack back. So they only get 1 attack. And you'll come over here and you can see he's got a void cannon. So what does that mean? Well, that doesn't matter because he doesn't have a charge on him right now. So it's an energy type, ranged weapon, range 12, POW 4. He is a ranged attack 4, you can see up there. So this solo is good at ranged attacks, which is nice for us. He doesn't have an arc on him, so we don't get the bonus. So you're going to roll your 4 versus his 3. Look at that. I rolled all blanks, he rolled all blanks. Wouldn't be a hit. So basically, he's been, for the most part, wasted. So he would have activated, which leaves us, activation, not activated. We still have stuff that needs to come out of this gate. So that's our activation phase. Second Cypher. Now we can get rid of this card. We can use this encrypted command on this fulcrum to get rid of this token so that we get this thing out of our hand. It's a big deal now. So that's why we saved it. Now that we've done that for the second Cypher, now deployment phase, you'll deploy 5 deployment cost worth of models out of this gate. So I want an Oculus, which is 1 point. I want this Fulcrum, which is 1 point, this Daemon, which is 2 points, and I've got 1 point left, so I'm going to bring this Factotum out. So I know that if I charge this Fulcrum next round, he can push something out. They can move faster. Actually, I want this one out because he's a hound, so he gets to move through this rough terrain more easily. So I want this Daemon Hound as close as I can get to see, this is where you just have to do this because of this puck. So you can kind of see where the outskirts of there. So there. So now he's super close. If I shove him, he gets to go 3 plus his base size. His base size is 2 inches, so he gets to go 5 inches off of this, which basically puts him there because he ignores rough terrain. If I couldn't ignore the rough terrain, I could only move him basically 3 inches, and it would just get me to the edge of that because it reduces your movement by 2 inches once you get in it. But Hound gives you Pathfinder, which lets you ignore it, so I could place him 5 inches off of this, which is what I would do if I was actually playing this game. So I would put this guy, probably over here, as long as he's still within 5 inches of this guy. That's all that matters. He's not, well, I'd probably try to fit him in here. And I can't. So I don't know. I'll probably put him like Tabletop Simulator. This is where it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I'd probably put him somewhere like there because no, I wouldn't put him there. Because I want this Factotum close to this guy so that next I can go there. And actually, no, I'd put this guy back over here because I want this Oculus tucked in right up against this building. Just sit there. See? Now you can see why these little pucks are annoying. Okay, so there's 5 deployment costs worth. There's 2, 1, 1, 1. Okay, whatever. I don't know why these hitboxes are being so weird. Okay, so there he is. So this would go away. All of this would come back to your pool. You've done your second deployment. Now you get to put another void gate out. Stipulation on void gates is also that you cannot come off of a model that you've just brought out of a gate. So again, your only choice is this fulcrum. I want to reinforce this back point. So I want to be able to put this somewhere that a model can move within 6 inches right out of the gate onto. So I want to keep this, you know, like right here, which is plenty far enough away. So if I keep that there, kind of right in the center, if I put something there, I can even come further away. So come there, so that. This is where measuring is super handy. So you want to slide it back just a little more. As you can see, this is where you can deploy from. I can go another inch this way. So if I drop this, then I can go like this. Okay, I've got 5.6 to there. Kind of fudging it here. 5.8. If I come off this edge, it's 5. I don't care. I can get within 6 to both of those. So now this unit doesn't even have to do that. If I put a solo here and a squad here, they can move to there and move to there in the same first turn and score on turn 1. This guy doesn't have to do it. He can go mop up other people. So I know that all I want on here is a solo and a squad. So I'm going to allocate 3 for this unit and 1 for Astrius here. Or you know what, I don't even have to do that because he can move there. He can just move back. It's fine. I'm just going to put 3 on it to get this squad out. That way I can move this squad over here and then I'll move this fulcrum back because I don't need him to go push anybody right now. This guy's here to push this daemon so he can then move over here and score as soon as they can activate before this guy ever brings anything out of this. So yeah, we'll only allocate 3. This is more advanced, but this is the kind of stuff that you need to think about when you're trying to figure out what your next play is. Granted, this probably isn't going to happen. This is like a ha-ha hee-hee situation, just me showing you the kind of stuff that can happen and what you would try to aim to do. You're probably not going to mop up, you know, everything over here on this side right away. It's usually just not going to happen. So now we've put down our void gate deployment. It's discard phase time. Next round, I know that I'm going to have probably only 2 arc in my well because one of these is getting put on something. It's either going on this avatar or it's going on this fulcrum. It's probably going on this fulcrum. So I've got 6 cards left. I know I've got 2 here. I can check my discard pile, which I would highly suggest you do. You can see I don't have another Fury in here. So I know in these 6 cards, there's another Fury. What do I need of either of these? Well, this one gets rid of Arc from a unit or a Void Gate. I don't really care about that right now. Cryo Lock basically gives your opponent an activation token, but you need to pay attention because if an enemy is immune to cold damage, you can't affect them with that Fury. And then you've got Excogitation Conspectus. Target a model, you know, when you play this on that model, anybody within 5 inches that has a Cypher plate on it, you immediately get to choose a Cypher from your discard pile. So you do not want to get rid of this card. Like, you just don't. You want to play it as a, you know, either first or second Cypher, depending on how much arc you have in your well, and if you have a Fury ready to go, or if you can play it first round and then use 2 models and spike a couple more arc off of those models to put back in your well for a second Fury play, or a second, second Cypher phase Fury play. So I don't need Null Collider. I just don't want it right now. It doesn't make any sense to have right now. So I've got 3 cards to draw from. So again, I'm going to hover over because I've just done the discard phase. We're going to do draw phase again. So there's 3. Boom. So there it is. Velocity Projector. That's what I wanted, because I want to be able to keep anything that comes out of this gate possibly from just being able to move over here when they deploy. I just don't want them to do it. Oh, yeah, I rolled that. He didn't hit. Okay. So that would be my turn. Please leave any questions below. Don't forget to like this video if you liked what you've seen. Feel free to share it within the community. I appreciate any of the love. I will have some links down below to other content creators. I'm going to start putting their YouTube channels and their podcasts down below. There's Hyper News Network. There's Charge and Spike. There's Through the Void Gate. I believe there's 1 or 2 other ones that I'm not super familiar with that I'll get put in there as well. They're part of the Discord community. I'm a part of the Discord community. They shout me out when I'm putting stuff out, and I'd like to do the same for them. So I'll have their links down below that you can find them at. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.